They say don't judge a book by its cover, but how about a bike by its spec sheet? What's up everybody, it's Scott from BikeRide.com, and I'm not even going to try to lie. When I first saw the Ride1UP Prodigy on paper, I was excited. It's a mid-drive Class 3 e-bike with a trail-friendly geometry, high-quality components, and a 27.5-inch wheels with Maxxis rubber. It's even got an air suspension fork with 120 millimeters of front suspension. The Prodigy almost seems too good to be true. So we had to get one of these here in person to see if it really lives up to its name. So let's take a look, put it through its paces, and see whether the Prodigy is as good as they say. So what is the Prodigy XC? Well, the Prodigy is one of the latest in the lineup from Ride1UP, and it comes in a series of 3 different bikes. There's the XC, the ST, and the XR. Now the XR and the ST are more commuter-minded bikes. They feature thinner tires meant for riding on the pavement, as well as fenders, integrated rear racks with brake lights. So the XC, which is the model that we ended up getting, is more featured to go off-road and on-road just as well. Some of these things that make it good off-road are that 120 millimeter air front suspension fork, the Maxxis Forecaster tires, and the lack of fenders on this model. It's the perfect mix of form and function, with nice aesthetics and performance to back that up. And the great thing about this bike is that it does double duty, taking you and getting those commuter miles on in the pavement when it's time to get to your work during the week, and getting you out on the trails during the weekend when it's time to take some time off. Let's get started with the pros. The first pro for the Prodigy has got to be the intuitive and natural ride. A large portion of this comes from the mid-drive motor unit that we have on this bike. Powered by a Brose TF Sprinter motor, the application of power is very smooth and intuitive. And that also is in part because of the Brose integrated torque sensor. So it's really good at applying the exact amount of torque that you need based on the user input. This is going to mean that when you're riding on the trail, you're going to have a lot of confidence knowing that you have the amount of power that you need to get over that rock or root or up that next incline. And it's really going to feel like a natural riding experience. That natural riding experience is in part because of that mid-drive motor and also because of the well-formulated geometry of the Prodigy overall. It really takes the best of both parts and adds some good components on top of that to make for a very pleasurable riding experience. It really feels like a bike, and you don't notice that it's powered until that power is actually being applied. Combined with that 9-speed Shimano shifter, you really have the full capability of gears and the added power of the motor to get you through any situation that you need. And when it comes time to turn around and go downhill, the balance and weight of the bike make it a pretty confident downhill. So when you're going, it's very nice. You can even pop and jump over a small route or a small jump if it needed to be, even though it feels more confident with the wheels firmly placed on the ground. The next pro is that Brose motor. It's got an incredibly natural and intuitive feel, and the integrated torque sensor really applies the power in a way that tailors itself to the rider's unique style. So overall, it's really an unobtrusive and whisper quiet unit that's a really natural feel and feels great on the e-bike itself. Furthermore, when no power is being applied, the unit actually decouples the pedals, so you feel no pedal resistance when you're rotating the pedals backwards or if they're rotating forwards with no power. That really makes it feel like a regular bike and adds to the overall experience as well. The power application is great, it's got more than enough torque for any situation, and it's really applied in a smooth and consistent manner. I mean, I could really talk all day about this motor. It's an excellent unit. And the display is also a really nice feature. It's a full color display, 1.5 inches. It's really unobtrusive on the handlebars, but offers you a lot of functionality and is quite easy to see. It also offers a lot of customization, although we do seem to be missing a few of the more complex customization features, such as the ability to change the power setting within those assist settings, and some of the other settings like the ability to turn off the light. And finally for the Prodigy, our last pro is just overall high quality components and thoughtful design. Pretty much everywhere that you look on the Prodigy, you're finding some really solid component choices, especially for the price range. Honestly, it almost seems too good to be true. In some ways, it begged the question of where are they making the money on this bike? You've got a really reliable Shimano Alivio shifter and drivetrain. It's a 9-speed drivetrain, which is pretty good to see on a bike. Normally we're seeing 7 speeds in a lot of the e-bikes that we're looking at. We also have a really good set of Tektro brakes, hydraulic brakes with mineral oil, and they have 180mm rotors front and back. And the rotors are quite a beefy design. They look like they're really ready to stand up to some abuse there. You've got 27.5-inch tires with Maxxis rubber on them, with the Maxxis Forecaster in a 27.5 by 2.4-inch tire, which is a higher quality tire than we're often seeing on a lot of these e-bikes. And then you've also got that Brose full color display up on the handlebars. Just in general, pretty much everywhere you look, even in the front suspension fork, you're seeing an unbranded air suspension fork, but still the fact that you have an air suspension fork with that adjustability of the air pressure inside of it is a feature that you're seeing over a lot of other e-bikes that may be in this price range. So overall, if I was looking for a hardtail e-mountain bike in this price range, I'd be taking a good hard look at the Prodigy. Moving on to the cons. We're pretty hard pressed to find a lot of cons with this bike. Overall, it's a really well-spec'd and well-designed bike for the price point. But here's a few things that could be improved. The first con that we noticed had to do with the Brose display. Now, in and of itself, the display is wonderful, but the unit that we received seemed to be lacking a little bit of the functionality that you can find inside of the user manual. Some of the menu items that were missing was the display off feature, the plain menu design feature, the light control feature, and the custom assistance levels. Now, the main one that we were really unhappy to find was that the custom assistance levels was not available. This would allow you to set a custom amount of assistance to each of those pre-assigned pedal assistance levels and not have it just be stock as a factory setting. Now, the Brose motor is capable of 380% assistance, so it would be really nice to know how much assistance is applied to each level and be able to fully unleash the capabilities of this bike. The next con is the uncomfortable seat. Now, in general, this is normally a personal preference item, and I won't hold seats against a bike, but in this case, the seat was just downright uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable the moment that you sit on it. It's quite hard, and over a long ride, you're really gonna wanna get yourself a set of padded shorts or change out that saddle. So that's coming in as a con on this bike. The final con for the Prodigy is chain slap and clunking in rough terrain. Overall, the Prodigy performs really well. So well, in fact, that you might soon find yourself pushing its boundaries and getting into some serious terrain. And the thing that's going to remind you that this is not a true e-mountain bike is going to be the sound of that chain clanking away and something clunking in the frame. Overall, the performance is great, but upgrading that Alivio rear derailleur with something with a clutch would significantly reduce the chain slap that we're experiencing and make the ride overall a little bit better. So what does it do best? The Prodigy XC really benefits from an intuitive and natural ride, and it's really going to be great for commuters that are looking to keep that natural bicycle ride while benefiting from all the benefits of e-power. It really is great for a Class 3 commuter being able to take off and keep up with traffic and keep up at that 25 mile/hour limit. The only thing that you're going to be missing is that commuters may want to add fenders because the tires do send a fair amount of water and road debris your way. And the other great thing about this bike is that it does double duty. When it's not time to be commuting, it gets you out on the trails as quite a capable beginner cross-country mountain bike. Those extra features that set it apart from the other Prodigies that are more commuter-centered really start to shine when you get off the pavement. Things like that 120mm front fork and the Maxxis Forecaster tires are great on the trail and offer an added traction. Honestly, the way that the components are set up, you won't need to add anything to get out and start enjoying those trails right away. So the bike does double duty while looking great. So who should buy this bike? This bike is really going to shine for commuters who are currently using a traditional bike and want to go electric, but don't want to change the overall feeling that they love about the ride. The intuitive and natural ride of the Prodigy is going to shine for seasoned bikers and those that are looking to keep up with traffic, travel primarily on pavement and in paved bike lanes on the road, and who want to use this to seriously lay down some miles but still feel like they're riding a bike. It's also going to work out great for those that are looking to hit cross-country trails at a beginner level, as the bike is well spec'd and clearly capable of doing a lot of cross-country trails. Those that want to have a mixture of both worlds are going to like it even more. So all in all, it's a really excellent bike for those that are wanting to keep that bicycle feel and go electric in a very natural and intuitive way. So who should not buy this bike? Not everybody needs to travel down the street at 25 to 28 miles an hour. And Class 3 e-bikes, while they come with a lot of pluses for those looking for speed, do come with a few drawbacks. The primary drawback with Class 3 e-bikes is the fact that in most states, they're only legally allowed to ride curb to curb. That means that you can ride on most public roads or bike paths that are on the road. And this is what we call curb to curb. But you're not going to be able to ride it in bike paths that are shared or places like a public park or a sidewalk. So you're going to want to think about that and think about whether a Class 3 best fulfills your needs. When it comes to the geometry of the Prodigy, the first looks are revealing. We can see from that sloping top tube and the slack head tube angle that it's got a modern trail-inspired geometry, and it rides very nicely. In fact, it has a very natural and intuitive ride to it, and most riders that are coming from any kind of all-mountain, cross-country, or any modern mountain bike geometry are going to feel comfortable on the bike. Even though the bike is a hardtail, the weight distribution of the unit with that mid-drive motor and the ability of the frame to somehow compensate for those bumps makes it a very pleasant and smooth ride, even though we're seeing no rear suspension on the bike. So in general, that frame and geometry is really making a huge difference on this bike. They've taken a lot of time to tune it in, and I'm really happy with the way that the bike performs both on the trail, on the pavement, climbing, and descending. Probably one of the most important components on the Prodigy is the motor, and it's being powered by the Brose TF Sprinter mid-drive motor. Now, the weight distribution and just the general performance of this motor are head and shoulders above other units that we've tested in the same price point. Most of those other units were hub motors, so we're talking about a completely different style. The Brose TF Sprinter is an elegant and refined motor. You're going to find that the integrated Brose torque sensor is very responsive, and it's going to really give you the amount of power based on the amount of torque that you're applying to the pedal. It's really applicable to all situations on the trail and was very pleasant when riding. It gave you just the right amount of power to pop over a rock or root on the trail and was able to lay down the power when you really needed it most. The Prodigy was quick off the line in our 0 to 20 and 0 to 25 mile an hour tests. It achieved a time of 5 seconds in the 0 to 20 and 8.5 seconds in the 0 to 25 mile an hour. It completed a short hill climb in a total time of 55 seconds, with a distance of 0.15 miles, an elevation gain of 85 feet, and a max grade of 18%. The average speed up that short hill climb was 10.1 miles an hour. The bike also completed our long hill climb test with a very respectable time of 1 minute and 58 seconds. That's a total distance of 0.3 miles with an elevation gain of 210 feet at a max grade of 18%, and the average speed on this long hill climb was 8.8 miles per hour. The cockpit of the Prodigy is uncluttered and refined. The handlebars are very pleasant with a 20mm rise and a 50mm stem, so in general it feels trail focused and modern and very responsive. The Tektro brake levers have very good lever feel and allow you to put just the right amount of brake pressure on the calipers. There's also a lot of room on the bars, so you can easily get those brake levers into the perfect position for your fingers. All of this is also complemented by the Brose 1.5-inch full color display, which doesn't take up much space on the handlebars and leaves you lots of room to add an additional dropper if you'd like to have one. The Brose display does offer great functionality and clear information. It features an easy to use full color display with an adjustable backlight and is controlled by 6 push buttons. The display is easy to set up and use with a sleek design. After powering on the display with a 2-second push of the power button, the screen showcases the battery level, illustrated as a battery bar, as well as a percentage, the current assist level, speed, and light indicator. The lower portion of the screen is a detail section you can cycle through. Button functions for our test unit are: a 2-second push of the power button activated and deactivated the unit. A single push of the menu button cycles info from odometer, range, time, trip time, average speed, max speed, and back to odometer. Long pushing the menu button opens the full menu. The up and down buttons select an item, and the menu button enters into that setting. Our light button had no use other than going back in the menu. The up and down buttons cycle assist levels with 5 settings, going from off to eco, tour, sport, and boost. Walk mode is activated by a 2-second press of the bottom button, followed by pressing and holding the down button to activate walk mode. The Prodigy is powered by a 36-volt, 14 amp-hour battery from Philion. This battery features the Philion BMS and Samsung cells. It's a little bit less voltage than we normally see in e-bike batteries, but this is because we're featuring a mid-drive unit on the bike, and the bike is very easy to pedal, so the battery definitely benefits from the ease of pedaling and the ability to having some of that power coming from the drivetrain, and that's why it's able to drop it down to 36 volts while still having reasonable range and good power. So in our range tests, we managed to get 22 miles and 2,718 feet of elevation out of this battery, and we still had a little bit of juice left. So it falls a little bit short of what the company rates at a rating of 30 to 60 miles, but we found that the battery overall is quite capable and able to get those ranges, especially in full boost mode. The battery is charged by a 36-volt 2-amp charger with an automatic shutoff. From a fully drained battery, it takes approximately 6 to 8 hours to fully charge. You can remove the battery and bring it indoors to charge, or the bike does feature a charging ability through that top battery port. Removing the battery from the frame is easy. The key is located on the lower part of the frame, and you simply insert and turn the key, and the battery pops out 3/4 of the way. Then reaching underneath the battery, you'll release a small finger catch, and the battery will slide out the rest of the way. Putting the battery back in is just as easy. You simply slide the top in first and then slide it firmly into place. It clicks into place with a satisfying click and holds securely in the frame. In general, the battery is well concealed in the frame, and the charger and battery operate as they should. The drivetrain on the Prodigy XC features Shimano Alivio front shifter and rear derailleur. It's a 9-speed drivetrain with a 42-tooth front crankset and an 11 to 34 tooth rear cassette. In general, you have lots of range, and the capability of this bike to climb any hill that you're going to find on a cross-country trail or on your commute is just fine. Furthermore, the electric shift assist sensor protects your drivetrain from any unnecessary shifting or bad shifts while power is being applied to the drivetrain. So this is going to further protect those components and is a really nice feature to see on this bike. In general, we had no problems with the shifting, and the Alivio shifters are crisp and precise. The only issue that you may find with the drivetrain is you may want to upgrade that rear derailleur to something with a clutch to get rid of some of the chain slap that we experienced on the trail. The Prodigy XC features a set of Tektro brake levers. The lever feel on this bike is very nice, and you're able to apply just the right amount of pressure on those Tektro calipers. Those Tektro calipers are applying pressure on a set of 180mm rotors front and back. So overall, the braking system on this bike is completely Tektro, and it's a very nice and stable system, whether you're on the trail or on the pavement. Overall, we never had a situation where we felt like the bike was lacking any ability to stop, and that's definitely needed when you're able to power yourself up to 28 miles an hour. The bike also performed very well in our brake tests. keeping with the modern mountain bike feeling of the Prodigy XC, we have a set of 650B tires. This is a 27.5-inch wheel size and is a really great and playful wheel size with the ability to climb and also travel over rocks and roots and give you some really nice rolling ability. Now those wheels are further complemented by a set of Maxxis Forecaster tires. It's nice to see some Maxxis rubber on this bike, as we don't often see Maxxis tires on e-bikes at this price range, and the Forecaster is a pretty good general tire. It's meant to be a Goldilocks tire, offering you a good mix of traction, not a lot of rolling resistance, and good response in most situations. So it's a reasonable trail tire with some good knobs on it, and overall, we're really happy with the wheel set on this bike. When it comes to contact points, we're doing pretty well with the Prodigy XC. Up front on the handlebars, you have a set of ergonomic flared grips. Normally, I'm really not a fan of these grips, but on the Prodigy, they're okay. They're lock-on, so they're secure on the bars and they're not moving around on you. And those ergonomic flares do give you a nice platform to rest your hands while not getting in the way or affecting your grip overall. So while a lot of users will probably want to change the grips on this bike, they're not awful, and you can just get out there and start riding right away. When it comes to the seat is downright uncomfortable on the Prodigy XC. I don't expect a lot from a seat on a mountain bike in general, but on the Prodigy XC, the moment that you sit on it, it feels hard, and as you continue throughout your ride, it doesn't get better, it just gets worse. I was instantly reaching for my padded shorts when it came to the Prodigy XC seat, and you're gonna wanna swap this seat out or get yourself a set of padded shorts quickly. And finally, when it comes to the pedals, we have a set of Wellgo flat pedals. These are a set of standard and economic pedals, but they give good platform for the feet, and I find that the large pegs offer good traction on a variety of footwear. So although a lot of users will probably end up swapping these pedals out quickly, they're perfectly usable right off the bat and will get you out on the trail right away. Well, that just about wraps it up for the Prodigy from Ride1UP. I like to be transparent when something needs a change and give praise where it's due with the bike. And with the Prodigy, it was really hard to find a lot not to like. Honestly, you had high quality components at every turn, the general build of the bike, and the ride is very pleasant. Every time I hop on the bike, I enjoy the way that it bikes around, and that Brose motor really shines. The application of power is really a pleasure to ride, whether you're on the trail or the pavement. So this bike really doesn't bring a lot of cons, and if you're in the market for a Class 3 mountain bike that you could take on beginner cross-country trails as well as use as a commuter, you're going to find that it really shines. The only reason that you wouldn't want to go for this bike is if you didn't need that Class 3 power and you were more interested in something that had a Class 2. So that's the Prodigy XC, a great set of components that almost seem too good to be true, but after putting more than 100 miles on the unit, we can say that it definitely backs up the claim and lives up to its name. You're going to get your money's worth, and I personally would be happy to spend the money on this if I was in the market for a hardtail e-mountain bike. So that's the Prodigy XC, and I have a feeling that I'm going to be taking this thing out for rides long after the review's complete. Is this bike for you? Check out the full specs at BikeRide.com, and you can also see other user and expert reviews. You can also check out other great e-bike reviews and see them rated to find your perfect match. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like and subscribe so we can bring you other great e-bike and bike related content. As always, I'm Scott from BikeRide.com, and I hope you enjoy the ride.